up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It's Thursday, September 22nd, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, my man?
What is up? What's up, fine people of the Racing Dudes world? It's good to see everybody. I haven't seen you in a while, so it's nice to be back on. I think I haven't been on for a minute, maybe.
Aaron is the champ for having something to talk about for. Yeah, exactly. He's the gopher, right? Everyone needs him on the show, so he just kind of runs around wherever he's needed. So we appreciate you making time for us on Blinkers Off this week.
Well, first of all, it's funny, 3 hours. It's like, yeah, it's probably gonna be more like 4. This show kind of runs long usually, and then my dad, that show usually runs long if you watch that one. So that's all right. That's all right. I've been waiting for this all day, so let's do it.
I mean, but you only talk to your cat and Heather all day, so it's nice to get a little, a little communication to the outside world, right?
Yeah, and you can't talk to the cat right now. She's sound asleep over here behind the computer, so can't talk to her.
Yeah, the boys still talk about parkour with the cat. Aaron's cat likes parkour. They all talk about that all the time. So, all right. So, what'd you talk about on the last show? Do you want? I mean, anything you've already covered?
Yeah, we're gonna have some overlap on this show with some new stuff as well. Yeah, we talked Pennsylvania Derby and Pennsylvania or the late pick 5, I guess, on Pennsylvania Derby Day, which is a great sequence. You should check it out. We also had Chris Griffin, track announcer from Parx, on the show. That was awesome, man. What a nice guy. Holy cow. Didn't realize he went to school at Fort Hays State for a year. So he knew Missouri Southern because we're in the same conference. So that's kind of cool too.
So there you go. You got the track announcer. Then you got Mike Somich. Then now you're going to get myself and yourself. And then Papa Dude to round it all out. Nick, we're not going to talk Oklahoma Derby start, but we will talk about Oklahoma Derby at some point. There is another Derby race this weekend that people are a little bit more excited for, called the Pennsylvania Derby. We'll get to the Oklahoma Derby, but yeah, we will. Big show, obviously. The Pennsylvania Derby. It's not a Breeders' Cup winning you're in, but it might as well be, because we know these horses. A lot of these horses, especially the top tier ones like the Taiba and the Cyberknives. This is a prep to get to the Breeders' Cup Classic. This is the last time we're going to see these horses before they head to the Breeders' Cup. So, before we get into the race, obviously we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but, is there anything that how do you approach a race like this as we move forward? Because we do still have Flightline looming out there. It doesn't seem like any of these horses could touch him.
Well, look, when it comes to the Breeders' Cup Classic, I don't know what to tell you, but I mean, listen, going forward, I think this race means an awful lot. Whether it means anything for the Classic, well, I don't know. Flightline shows up, probably doesn't, but there's a lot of other races other than that. And I think you're going to, you might see some dirt mile contenders out of this race as well. That's another race that, this could be a productive prep for. So we'll just kind of have to see. Classic's kind of on lock right now with Flightline out there, but there's some serious horses. There's horses that could jump up and compete with just about anybody minus Flightline, so we'll just kind of see how it shakes out.
I do feel like, and I know I'm the ultimate bias guy here, but I do feel like if Taiba were to go in here and just roll, like just beat the shit out of this field, everyone at least he's going to throw his name in the hat for maybe he's good enough. Maybe he can keep getting better. I'm not saying he's going to, but if we see a big time performance, even if it's Cyberknife from one of these 3-year-olds, it's at least going to give something to us something to talk about as we head towards. Because again, we don't know what we're hoping Flightline's there, right? But you just never know. A big performance will do a lot, and then also would be like, hey, maybe Epicenter has company here, because Epicenter and Taiba haven't really gotten a square matchup. Given that Taiba was only making his second start in the Derby. Yes, and I think we know that he's not as good or Cyberknife's not as good as Epicenter, but Taiba still feels like a horse that he's the ultimate, right? Like, is he ever going to break through? I mean, I hate to say that because he won the Cincinnati Derby on his second start, but it feels like he's a horse that this is now the time to win.
He has to win. That's the key, right? Like, he has to win this race before you can even start to talk about stuff like that. He got beat by Cyberknife. Epicenter beat Cyberknife like a drum in the Travers. It's in Taiba's court. You got to go beat Cyberknife like a drum for me to think he can beat a horse like Epicenter. He certainly could do it, but he's got to go do it. And this is the time. I won't get into why I'm picking who I'm picking yet, but this has got to be the time for Taiba. It's put up or shut up right here.
Yeah, no, and it's listen, I saw a comment here. Yes, there is a guide for it. I'm gonna take this off because the title is amazing. There you go. Prove it. There you go. So yeah, there is a guide for this. It's available right now, 17 pages, 10 stakes on the card. So obviously the Pennsylvania Derby and the Cotillion being the main ones there. Cotillion's a great race as well, with no shoe in there either. And then you've got obviously like 8 other stakes races, 17 pages. The whole card is covered in this guide. So yes, I saw a question somewhere. Yes, Bree, it is available right now at racingdudes.com. And listen, I think where's another one? Yeah, I mean, Nick, there's no, and I'll even go as far as say if he wins, like he's going to believe that he's got a shot to win the Classic with this horse. This will be his Classic horse. I get that we have, what's the Country Grammar? Yeah, I mean, but if this horse goes in, we know Country Grammar can't match up with Flightline. We saw, we all saw it very clearly. If Taiba were to go in here and romp, given the hype of this horse since day one, and the fact that he keeps, talking about how good and talented this horse is, like he's going to go into the Breeders' Cup thinking he can win the thing with this horse. Whether it happens, that's another story.
Well, I think this is his horse that's got a shot to improve the most going into that race for sure. But I don't. I mean, he's a guy like Bob Baffert. Sure, he's going to think he's got a shot to win any race he enters because he's Bob Baffert and he's done it so many times. So you're right. But again, if Flightline runs that kind of race, I don't know how you can beat him. That's just the key to that. But again, the best way to beat Flightline is if Flightline doesn't show up. He hadn't shown up a lot in his career, right? So that's the unknown.
I mean, the thing is, like, other than Pharaoh, who was just obviously a freak that ran all year, won the Triple Crown, won the Classic. Most of his Classic success, obviously, one is 3-year-olds, Baffert, which is kind of an odd thing people don't realize. But 2, it's like late blooming 3-year-olds. That's kind of the other. Arrogate, obviously, a late bloomer. You can even say the same with Accelerate, even though he ran all year. He got, the way that 2020 was and got pushed back, everything kind of got pushed back. Like he kept getting better, right? And then, of course, if this could be the case for, Bayern, another one who kind of started getting better at the end of the year. Of course, winning this race, the Pennsylvania Derby. And yeah, Taiba. Maybe them rushing him so early is going to do him benefits for now because they had to stop on him. Whereas a lot of times the Baffert horses are going to be running all over the place early in the year. Maybe that does some favors for him. But yeah, again, I'm not going to sit here and act like I think he can beat Flightline. I'm the biggest Taiba fan there is, and as soon as the Flightline race happened, I was like, nope, that ship is sailed. It ain't happening. But it will be fun to see. We'll talk about that race here in a second. Yeah, let's see. Go through some of these questions. Does he become the other Baffert? Maybe. So the thing is, like, we all know what Country Grammar is now because we saw them match up with Flightline. So it's like, I think, honestly, I would think, I don't know. Wouldn't Taiba be the Baffert horse if he were to win here? And Country Grammar might be the other Baffert?
So. I think so. With a win, I think he would become... He's going to become the one that gets bet the most. Let's put it that way. If he wins this one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Yeah. I think that's like the one that people are going to be. So before we get into the show, I think how many Breeders' Cup winners did we see last weekend?
Oh, I think we saw 2. I'm going to go with 2. Really liked Modern Games, obviously. Kind of in a division where the American horses have not been outstanding. So I think Modern Games is going to be tough depending on what Europeans come over. The 2-year-old up there, Mysterious Night, I don't know how that horse loses unless they just bring over some kind of monster to face him, but he was fantastic. So Nation's Pride at Belmont, we'll see. We'll see how that turf shapes up, who they bring over from Europe. But Those two winners at Woodbine, I think, are going to be awfully tough.
Yeah, Modern Games was really good. It was really, really good. And he showed that, he might just come back to the Breeders' Cup and win again. And hopefully, like we talked about last week, can cash it. We actually can cash on them. Yeah, there you go. You beat Flightline by Life is Good running at him. I mean, if there is a way to do it, the only way that works, I feel like, is if Flightline just doesn't show up.
Did I miss where Flightline went gate to wire in either one of those races?
Right.
Was he not off the pace in both of them?
If he does, he just sits off of it.
To me, that's a crazy comment. He's not a gate to wire type.
He can.
He can.
But he doesn't have to. He's so smart. He doesn't have to. This far out, have you ever been as confident as you are in a horse like Flightline?
Let's see. No, I'd say no.
Certainly not for the Classic.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a few, we could come up with, like, as far as like Dirt Mile or something, or the Sprint or something like that. But yeah, for this,
I almost said Pharaoh, but he did lose. But I felt pretty good about him bouncing back. He would have been a good answer. Yep.
The thing with Pharaoh is you were like, well, if Baffert decides to, that was the plan. Like, they're going to go to the Classic still, but if he actually does show up there, then he's going to win. And I had that confidence like that. But we really didn't know for sure for a little bit after the Travers if that was going to be the case. But as soon as he really started working towards the Classic, I was like, well, Baffert ain't running him one more time to lose. So
yeah, I was super confident. If you go other way, like Life is Good last year in the Dirt Mile, I never dreamed he would lose. Matoli that year in the Sprint, I was pretty confident. I'd say at this time.
But it's just amazing that I don't know how long, but yeah, I know I can only speak to you and I. You and I had Flightline ranked number 1 since the Met Mile, really.
Yeah.
After that, because after the Met Mile, Sadler's like, well, we're going to go to the Pacific Classic and then do the Classic. So we thought, until proven otherwise, he's a Classic horse and he's the best horse that we have. And so he's been ranked number 1 since June. And, when the Pacific Classic happened, the race wasn't even over yet. And you were basically walking to the window for the Classic bet, because that's how confident you are with this horse.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely right. And that's just it. I mean, I've never seen one stand out to this level anywhere close. Another thing I thought about with Pharaoh, Beholder was pointing for that race for a long time. And Beholder had won the Pacific Classic that year with just a monster effort. So there was reasons to be a little nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Here, it's just like, yeah, they can't really run with him, So,
well, she scratched. We were at the Breeders' Cup when she scratched. Like, it was like Friday or Thursday or Friday morning, I think.
Yeah, I think it was Thursday morning. Yeah.
So I mean, it was right at the last minute.
Yeah.
And probably, and arguably the best, Pacific Classic we've seen until this year, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely had that hype. You had him losing that late race prior, her coming in. Yeah. So that was there definitely wasn't that. There's not that in this year's Classic. It's just there's just not. I mean, whoever it is, I still feel like even though Life is Good, he's a great horse. I just don't. To me, it's Epicenter or Taiba. We'll talk more about him, I guess. That would pose a threat, and I mean the threat very lightly because I just don't think because we just don't quite know, yet. But I just feel like we know what Life is Good is.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to see him like if he got Flightline at a mile, maybe it's like, okay, maybe I still don't think you'd beat him. But when you get to that 1.25 miles, it becomes kind of shaky.
There's just not. I mean, like we can talk about it all we want. There's nothing the horse. Let me just say this. Anybody that says that Flightline's not going to win, that says he can't win, says he's going to get beat, by this horse. The only reason they're saying that is because they don't want to pick Flightline. They don't want to pick the chalk. There's literally no actual, documented reason on the form or on the numbers or something you've seen on the track visually that would make you say, I really think I can beat him here. There's not. It doesn't exist. No. So you either just say, I think he's going to win, but I can't play him because he's chalk, and here's why I'm playing Taiba, or here's why I'm playing Epicenter, or here's why I'm playing Life is Good. You can make up the reason in your head, but we all know he ain't losing if he shows up. It's just plain and simple.
The biggest problem is he got better at the distance of the
no.
You know, that's and they kind of said he would all along, and it's like, yeah, you don't want to believe that. And then he did, and it's like, it's just like it is what some races that it's just they're hard to beat a favorite, and that's what we got in the Classic without any doubt.
Oh, JL, just wait, dude. Or I don't know, but it just everyone's gonna be, all the pros, the experts will be picking Life is Good or picking Epicenter because Life is Good will put pressure on Flightline or whatever it is. Like they're gonna, all the wise guys are gonna try to beat this horse. Guarantee it. Lock it up. Yeah, no doubt about that.
Oh, well, look at some of our YouTube comments. I'm already seeing them.
Yeah, even after that performance, it's like, well, that track was fast that day.
He won't do it again.
Who did he really beat? Look who he beat in that race. It's like, well, he beat the Dubai World Cup winner by 20 lengths. So I don't know. Like, that seems pretty good. But all right, let's talk about the horse that maybe can get second or maybe can win if he doesn't show up. We'll find out. We're gonna preview and get picks for Saturday's $1 million Pennsylvania Derby at Parx, and then we're gonna rapid fire selections for some of the remaining major stakes races this weekend at Churchill Downs. Parx, a couple other Parx races we're going to talk about. And, of course, Nick, don't worry. We're going to go to Remington for the $400,000 Oklahoma Derby. Let's go. We had to talk about, if the Oklahoma Derby's any big race happening in Remington Park, it's good. Halterman won't be on the show if it's not on here. So
I'm very excited. 12 race card. Dale Day emailed us. There'll be 3 pick 4s and 2 pick 5s. So love it.
Are you going?
I'm not going this year. I'm not going. I'm going to go. I am going to go down for a weekend, but it's not going to be this one. Too much other stuff going on this weekend.
Wow. Dale's going to be upset with you.
Well, it is what it is.
Let's see. Well, you pretty much, if you, this is like the who's who of the 3-year-olds minus Epicenter, really. It's pretty unbelievable that they were able to get, I didn't think, a week ago, I didn't think Zandon or Cyberknife would be here.
No.
We the People even, I thought Tawny Port, but Simplification, even White Abario throwing his name in there. They showed up, man. Cyberknife, dude, that guy, he's talking about a horse that's just, He's just running in all of them. He just said, you know what? We're going to run all of them. We're going to go with Haskell. We're going to win that. We're going to run second the Travers. And now we're going to go to the Pennsylvania Derby. They're just not shying away from anybody.
Yep, I know. It's pretty amazing that this horse has developed like he has. He's good. He's really good. Has always had talent.
There's so many reasons, Nick, why we're better than Magic Mike. But yeah, that is one of the reasons. Because they just fire away. They're way more organized than we are. They just go boom, 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 boom. We just kind of bullshit between ours. So
this is so true on Davey. He's always there, but every time I go, he's not there.
Never seen him.
I'll message him and be like, no. Oh well.
Shotty, we'll just, if you plan on the 3-year-olds, like if you just campaign yourself like a 3-year-old next year at Oaklawn, we'll be there. Okay. You will see us there.
Yep.
Okay. Just don't go to some bullshit weekend where we won't be there, but go to the Southwest, go to the Rebel, Arkansas Derby, guaranteed to be there.
We'll be there.
All right. Parx on Saturday, race 12, the Pennsylvania Derby, grade 1, $1 million, 3-year-olds going mile and 1/8, Field of 11 shows up for this main event. This is it's kind of crazy. You got Parx, for us that play, year round, all the tracks. Parx is kind of an afterthought. It's always there, but you don't really think too much about it. But then this weekend, they show up, and man, they bring in the horses year in, year out. It seems like it gets better every year. And like I said, Field of 11 shows up, and other than Epicenter, all the 3-year-olds are here. I mean, Zandon's in the race. You've got, Skippy Longstock and Cyberknife, who shows up everywhere now. After winning the Haskell second in the Travers, now he's here in the Pennsylvania Derby. We the People, Tawnyport, Taiba. We talked about Taiba earlier. Simplification, Wyatt Barrio, all those horses. The who's of 3-year-olds are in the race. Halterman. It's not going to be easy for whoever wins this thing. But what do you think of the field?
It's a great field. I don't know how they could have done any better. I mean, we knew Epicenter wasn't coming here. They got every other good horse, a 3-year-old that goes 2 turns in the field. So I think it's fantastic. I think they did a great job. Tip of the hat to Parx, man. This is pretty good. I remember after the Haskell, and they kind of said Taiba was going to point to the Pennsylvania Derby. I thought, oh, that might be kind of a walkover type. This is a hell of a field, man. And again, on the East Coast this year, these fields have been short and they've been light. These fields are full all day at Parx. So tip of the cap to Parx. They did a great job.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, even the Cotillion, which we'll talk about here a little bit on rapid fire. I mean, it's a loaded field. Maybe not, obviously not Ness, but you've got the Oaks winner and Secret Oath in there, and a couple of kind of either new shooters or, so to speak, new shooters or horses that maybe are trying to key it on this distance or whatever the case may be. It's definitely not an easy race either. So it's certainly, like you said, and dude, not to mention some of these sprints. Like we'll talk about the Gallant Bob. Holy shit, my brain started hurting handicapping the Gallant Bob. I'm anxious to even know who you went with in that race because I was all over the place. It's that kind of race. And to that point, we talked a little bit about how you played that sequence because it's a tough ass sequence. When you look at one of these races, you got to at least, whether it be Taiba or whether it be Secret Oath or whether it be Cyberknife, whoever it is, at some point you have to make an opinion. You can't play all or 2 or 3, 4 in every race because it gets so expensive, especially when you want to go super deep in some of those sprint races. So how do you kind of approach a race like this when, obviously Taiba 5-2, Baffert, Mike Smith, the hype is there. He's going to be bet down. Cyberknife will as well. Is it just those two for you, or do you think an upset could be happening here and you want to go deeper?
Everything's through Taiba on my tickets. I'll just go ahead and say it. Everything is going to be based on and built through Taiba. Here's why. This is the first race since his debut where he's actually spotted in a logical spot, right? This is the first time he's actually in a race that makes sense for him to be in. So let's kind of recap. The maiden special weight, obviously, that's the right spot. Goes from a 6-furlong maiden special weight 35 days later to a 1.125 grade 1 Santa Anita Derby. Yes, he won that race, but it was not the right spot for him. And you saw why next time out. Because he won, great. It forced their hand in the Kentucky Derby. He was not ready. It was a disaster. I will go on record as saying the Haskell was a stupid place to enter this horse last time out as well. Even though, sure, he could have won it and ran a winning race, that is a tough damn ask for a horse's 4th start to the grade 1 Haskell. You knew Jack Christopher and Cyberknife were going there.
Off a 2-month layoff.
A disaster in the Kentucky Derby. That's not easy. That's tough. And he ran very well. And I would venture to say that race last time out was the first time they actually learned anything about the horse and what he actually likes to do. Mm-hmm. And usually you can learn something about a horse like this that's lightly raced in an allowance or an ungraded stakes. And he maybe not run his best, but he wins, right? They learned he doesn't really like to run inside of horses. Okay, that's an easy fix. I think we can fix that for this race. I think they learned he kind of idles once he gets to the front. Another thing you can fix. I mean, he showed tremendous talent in the Haskell. And I think if he would have had a prep or they could have built him up for that race, he would have won because the mistakes that were made, they didn't know until he made them. So again, this is the spot. We've learned a lot about him. He showed immense talent in that race. It's now or never for Taiba. He should win in this spot.
Well, to kind of put it a little bit into perspective of what you're talking about there, making his fourth start in the Haskell, Cyberknife made his fourth start in the LeCompte. That was all the way back in January. That was his fourth career start. Zandon, made his fourth start in the Bluegrass, so he was a little bit later, but still, obviously, has had a lot of time to kind of they know what this horse is. And to your point, and for one, you might as well just throw out the Derby, because you don't learn anything about your horse in the Derby, especially if you have had trouble trip, and obviously he wasn't ready for it. So you didn't learn anything there. And by pure talent alone. And I think as we go, you might be learned that Messier just wasn't quite as good as we thought he was too. I think those combination of things propelled him in that Santini Derby. Even Baffert said prior to the Haskell that he kind of wanted a little bit more time with him, but he went ahead and ran him anyways, kind of thinking his talent alone could get him there. And it did almost. Cyberknife just ran a massive race. Now he's had, like you said, the proper time. Now he's had the proper time with Baffert. I mean, people forget, we don't know, right? But how much time has he had with the horse directly? They're obviously from the time, basically after his debut, he quote unquote was not with the horse, right? That's what they say, anyways. And he really didn't have him until after the Derby, and had kind of trained him up to that. So really, he's had a good, solid 3-4 months of having the horse, and got the Haskell under his belt. To me, and I know I'm very biased, but I just think he's just going to run fucking massive on Saturday. I think he is going to run big. I don't see how he doesn't. Let's just put it that way.
If he doesn't, it's time to stop. And call him one of the more overrated horses we've had in this since we've been following it, because listen, in the Haskell, I was standing next to Vinny from Real Dynasty. I was standing next to Jason, and we looked at each other at the top of the stretch and said, well, Taiba's going to win by 6. He looked like he was ready to explode, and he just kind of hung there, waited, hung out. Cyberknife sneaks off the rail. I mean, a lot of people are like, I didn't see him. Well, he may not have, because when he did see him, he did kind of re-engage a bit at him at the wire. But the bottom line is, he just kind of lollygagged in the whole stretch, and he still almost won a Grade 1 race. I just can't get that out of my head. I'm just thinking, listen, Bob Baffert, you love him, you hate him, whatever you think of him, he usually can get a horse the most out of a horse, and he hasn't yet with this one. This is it. This is his time. It really is. I say it's not really now or never, but to be a star this season, it is now or never. Maybe he develops as a 4-year-old if he doesn't run well here, but he's got to show up with the race everybody thinks the talent that everybody thinks he is here. There's no excuse now.
Well, and there's too much. Yeah, because there's been obviously it was a $1.7 million horse purchase, so that got the hype going, and then he rattles off this amazing performance on debut. They go to the Cincinnati Derby, he wins, so the hype's just through the roof, right? You can't get more hype. I mean, you could argue it was even more hype than Justified, and this horse obviously has came back down to earth hard, but then you keep seeing Baffert keeps comparing him to Silver Charm, and those are things that Baffert. We know, I think we've been in the game. You and I have been in the game long enough, and a lot of people that will listen to the show have. When some of these guys start talking up horses, the ones to listen to, and the ones that are kind of full of shit, right? If it's Bob Baffert 2-year-old, for instance, and you have never heard of it, and no one's been talking about it, and the horse is kind of dead on the board, you kind of know that's probably not his next big up and comer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When
Bob Baffert himself is comparing his own horse, who happens to be a $1.7 million horse, to Silver Charm, who's maybe his favorite horse of all time, that means something.
I often think back and wonder if Baffert hadn't have gotten suspended, what would have happened with Taiba? Because the original plan was to go to the Lexington and then go to the Preakness.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, that probably was the right plan. I questioned that plan at the time, but looking back on it, Baffert probably had that right. He probably had his best interest long-term So now we're here. And like I said, he didn't have him in the Derby, got him back and tried to Haskell. I think this is it for him. The workouts have been great, but look, he has a tough chore here. This is not going to be an easy race by any stretch. There's some good horses in this race.
All right, so to that point, you and I are both picking Taiba here. I think a lot of people are. It makes sense. Cyberknife is the obvious one. He beat him last time. He's the horse that could beat him for sure. But let's go past him. Who else? Who else is looming? I mean, I think, at least for me personally, Zandon is a must-use underneath. He's a must-use in second and third because he shows up every time. But I'm at the point with him. He can beat me. That's fine. He's just not going to get there with him. A horse that I keep looking at that I think showed me a lot last time out is number 4, Skippy Longstocking. That horse seems to have figured things out. So who are you kind of looking at?
It's pretty funny. I think you and I and Samich all see this race nearly identical, which I don't know if that's scary or what.
might be bad.
I tell you what, he singled Taiba. He loves Taiba. He likes Cyberknife second. I think Cyberknife is a very logical second choice. He likes Skippy third. I like Skippy third. I think Skippy Longstocking has really come on in a big way. You look at the Belmont. He got beat by Mo Donegal and Nest. Whoa. Yeah. Nest is really good.
And I praised it after. You watched it. He ran so good that day. I get that he got, you look at the form, he's like, well, he got beat, he wasn't close to winning. He wasn't, but God, he did all the dirty work in that race and made it really tough for Nest and Mo Donegal. And then of course they're clapped, but he ran huge. That was a huge stepping stone to that West Virginia Derby where he really showed out.
Sure did. He was big. And I'm telling you what, that West Virginia Derby, go watch the replay. That's a damn good race from that horse. We the People had it his own way. I was with We the People that day. I had that horse on top, and I felt good about it. And honestly, I thought We the People ran pretty well. That horse just beat him. He just went by him. So I like Skippy a lot. I think he's the up-and-comer. I'm with you on the Zandon thing. I think a lot of people are really re-interested in Zandon because of the Joel Rosario factor. He's changing jockeys. He's a strong closer, but I said on the Magic Mike, as far as a win, he's going to have to prove that he can beat these horses. Look, I like him. I've been a fan of his. I picked him in the Bluegrass. And, he beat Smile Happy and Emmanuel. Okay, great. He had no excuse not to get by Epicenter. He had no excuse not to get by Epicenter again. And then last time, forget Epicenter, he had no excuse to not get by Cyberknife for second. He's going to have to prove it. Rosario, I don't know. Maybe he makes a difference. I just don't see it.
I hope he gets played. I hope he takes some money because I just I don't know how Rosario can. It is interesting that how much is it that did Pratt? He had to have chosen We the People, right? Over Zandon. Is that what happened here?
There's some speculation that Zandon was a late entry and Pratt was already committed. I don't really know the real reason. Pratt could have gotten replaced. Maybe Brown just said, hey, I'll put a bit nice closing jockey on Zandon and see if it makes a difference. We've tried everything. Look, you look at Zandon in the flesh, he looks like a champion, right? So maybe that's why. But like right here, is Rosario better than Pratt? No. So I don't know that it's an upgrade. The style maybe is a little bit of an upgrade, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. I really don't.
No, I'm at the point now, and frankly, we'll throw these other horses in here as well. Simplification and White Abarrio, kind of the two Gulfstream heroes, we'll call them, because really they were this spring on the Derby Trail. Of course, one won the Fountain of Youth, one won the Florida Derby and the Holy Bull, and really since then, it's been just ugly. They've left Gulfstream Park and they just have not ran well whatsoever. White Abarrio couldn't even win the Ohio Derby against Tawnyport. I just think White Abarrio and Simplification's best days are behind them. I don't have any interest in playing any interest in those guys.
Yeah, I can't get to them. I like them both an awful lot until after, they left Gulfstream. Simplification gets a little rest, but I don't think it's enough. I don't know. I always kind of get him wrong. Why do Barrio? He just kind of looks spent to me. I think he needs an extended break. I could not get to either one of those. I respect them. They might get up and hit the board. They're just not ones I'm going to play.
Okay, here's a interesting take from Gabe. Says, is it dumb to think Zandon has only lost to the best horse in the crop?
No.
Basically meaning he got beat by Epicenter. He got beat by Epicenter again. Rich Strike and Epicenter beat him. Then, he obviously won before that. Epicenter beat him in the Risen Star. Is that where that's a case, but the problem is he's had other horses like Cyberknife beat him too last time. And Rich Strike beat him in the Kentucky Derby, and Smile Happy beat him in the Risen Star. It just feels like the only race that he's won that wasn't the main special weight was where he beat Smile Happy, who I don't know where he's at, and Emmanuel, who's a turf horse. We think we've established that now. So it's like, I don't know. I think he's a good horse. Maybe he puts it together one day, and maybe it's this race, but I just can't get there with him on top anyways.
I don't think the thought is dumb though, Gabe.
No.
I think it's a good thought.
You look at his running lines, the class is there.
I like him. I just don't like him to win because I just feel like, and Jared said it, okay, Epicenter's gone, but he also lost to Cyberknife in a race. Cyberknife was kind of begging somebody to get second, I felt like, in that spot.
Yeah.
Couldn't really do it. And I think Taiba is just a little bit better than him. I don't think it's a bad thought. And if you want to back Zandon in this race, you want to try to bet him. I don't think it's a great bet, but I don't think it's the worst bet you could ever make either, because he is very classy. He's very classy. He's going to run a strong race. I just don't think he's quite good enough. But I don't hate it. Like, if you're going to back, I don't like simplification to win, I might try to say, yeah, maybe don't do that. Zandon, it's like, take a shot, especially if he's 5-1. I'm not going to do it, but I don't hate it.
He's, he's ran 7 starts. He's never finished off the board in all 7, and definitely has ran, like you mentioned, Gabe, he's ran against Epicenter in a bunch of those races. And so it's like, he's not in this race, obviously. You get 2 other horses in the race, could Cyberknife and Taiba beat him? Sure, but I would definitely think Zandon could get third, so key him in the third and second spots to me is Zandon. There's a good one, Zandon and Hot Rod Charlie. That's very similar, I feel like. This might be a little bit of a slap in the face to Hot Rod, I think, but still it's close.
Well, he did win this race last year. Hot Rod did. And but yeah, I mean, it is a good comparison.
He also won the Haskell. Well, he did. Well, he didn't, but yeah, he won.
I think Zandon is more of a midnight bourbon.
Yeah, that's better.
I think Hot Rod's a little bit better than Zandon. I think Zandon's more of Hot Rod is a little bit better than Zandon. Yeah, I think Zandon's more of a midnight bourbon type. All
right, so we're both on Taiba for this race to win the Pennsylvania Derby. Last question. We talked a lot about it on the intro a little bit, but like, is Taiba the only one? Is Cyberknife maybe another one? Like, is there anything you could see here that could even I don't want to say like replace Flightline, because I know that's not the case for either one of us, but enough to where you're like, if Flightline doesn't bring it, if he like really doesn't show up or literally doesn't show up, like this horse could win. So is Taiba and Cyberknife the only 2 for you?
Well, Cyberknife's not, because Epicenter destroyed him at 1.25 miles. So it's all about, honestly, I guess you could use, if let's pretend Cyberknife runs well, that's the barometer, right? If Taiba beats him by a length, well, no, I don't think so. If Taiba beats him by 6 and Cyberknife gets second, it's like, okay, yeah, I do. So I think that's the key. He's kind of the barometer. We know, to me, Epicenter, life is good. As far as going 1.25 miles, they're similar. They're kind of that second and third horse in the classic. Cyberknife is kind of the barometer here to see if anybody can kind of jump up. So we'll see. No, Cyberknife, absolutely not. I give him no shot, even if he wins this race, to win a race like the classic without Flightline. I'm saying Taiba, if he is what everybody says he is, he could get up there and be in that conversation with Life is Good and Epicenter and Olympiad with that second tier.
Yep. Yeah, I think I think Taiba's going to set the perfect trip here. They've learned enough with him now. Set him outside of horses. Just kind of let him get you there. Let him grind you there, because I don't think he's he's going to overly flash in terms of winning by 10 lengths or something like that. That's not really what we've seen from at this level for him. But I think it's gonna be a very professional win. And hey, I definitely don't hate this. Although I'd want to throw in Jalen. By the way, Jalen is killing the chat, so it's good to have Jalen on the show. But I don't hate that at all. I mean, that's a nice cold try. Although I'd want to throw Skippy in there somewhere, just because that's the horse. Maybe Key Skippy in second and third with those, but definitely like that order. If you're just wanting to play that cold, I would not even mess with boxing that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the logical try without any question. That's the three logical horses. I'm with you. I'd kind of like to get another a price involved, but I think those are logical.
All right, there you have it. Me and Halterman, we're both on the 8. Taiba, it's time to see if he's finally in his spot. Bafford's had his time with him. Can he win the Pennsylvania Derby? We'll find out Saturday.
He's got a ton of weight on his shoulders now. Everybody's on him.
It's funny. Everyone hates on him as soon as he loses. One of those, like when you lose the Haskell, and then they all come back because you can't get past his. Like you just know that there's so much ability there. Brings you back.
This is the biggie. Yeah, Hot Rod Charlie versus Rich Strike and Lucas Classic. That's happening. Yep. That's going to be amazing. I don't know who else is going, but that's going to be amazing.
That's the Lucas Classic, man. That's awesome.
Dude.
Oh, man.
It's better every year.
Yep, next Saturday. If people forget, Knicks Go went there before.
Yep.
So did Mind Your Biscuits.
So that race is a lot of the reason why Knicks Go was 3-1 in the Classic, because he ran there and he ran against some dogs and he got a low speed figure, even though he won from here to Springfield. But people are like, oh, he's regressing. And it's like, actually, no, like it was a prep for the Classic. Yeah, that's a lot of the reason he was 3-1. People didn't like that last prep.
I was actually thinking about the price we could possibly get on Taiba, and I was thinking if I could get 5-2 on him, I think that's one of the better values of the year on a horse that I like. But I now start thinking about the all timers, and getting 3-1 on Knicks Go in the Classic has to be an all timer.
It is.
Yeah, you just kept watching the board, thinking, this is going to change, or what are we missing? How is he 3-1? I don't get it. And he won like he was 1-9. So
I'm telling you what, Samich told me 3 hours before the race he's going to be 3-1, and I said, "You are full of shit. You have no idea." And it just kept going and kept going. It was that was the greatest 45 minutes between races of my whole life. Just waiting for that to go to 2-1, and it never did.
Yeah,
3-1.
Everyone, they're pounding essential quality.
I know. Oh, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, same for us. Sorry.
Yep, a lot of same boat.
Yeah.
It's funny that the day after we were at the airport and we saw a couple guys. I think they're from overseas, weren't they?
Yeah.
And we said, "How was the Breeders' Cup?" Because we were doing awful until Knicks Go. It's like we made a ton of money because of Knicks Go. We're like, same. We were going to have to walk home until Knicks Go won. So.
Yeah, it was like you just kept wondering what are we missing here? It felt like, and that's how a lot of the way I felt, even though the Flightline was a totally different situation. But it's just like, if Knicks Go can do it, meaning go 2 turns when everyone didn't know he could, it's like Flightline certainly can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we can obviously saw that. All right, let's do some rapid fire. We're gonna do the Gallant Bob, the Cotillion at Parx. We're gonna go to Churchill Downs for 3 races there on Saturday, and then we're gonna go to your favorite, Remington Park, on Sunday.
Let's do it.
Time for rapid fire, presented by the Inside Track to the 2022 Pennsylvania Derby Wagering Guide. Get the all-inclusive 17-page wagering guide. to Saturday's 2022 Pennsylvania Derby this weekend at Parx. Features in-depth analysis, follows 10 stakes on the card. There's 13 races on the day, all of them covered in it, including the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby and the Grade 1 Cotillion. We're getting ready to talk about that one. You get bonus race-by-race analysis, betting suggestions, and multi-race plays for the entire Saturday card at Parx. It's now available at the website at racingdudes.com on the products page. Make sure you go grab your copy now. All right, let's go. Let's stay, I guess. Let's go earlier in the card. Race 10, the Gallant Bob Stakes. It's a Grade 2 worth $300K for 3-year-olds. This is going 6 furlongs. And, dude, I talked about it earlier. How it's just 14 and sprinting, going 6 furlongs at Parx. What could go wrong, right?
This is one of the harder races to pick a winner on top that you're going to have. This is crazy. A field of 14, and it's just a crapshoot, a total crapshoot. Look, I'm hoping class wins out because the number 9 running son of a gun has been running behind some really nice horses that would be big favorites if they were entered here. Charge It, Ganite, and Jack Christopher, the last 3 horses he's finished second, third, and third to. I'm going to go with him here, getting away from those horses. It's a tough group without any question. But I think the 9, I'm just hoping that class and dropping out of those super tough races into this is going to make the difference. But like I said, it's tough, but he seems to be the most logical one to me.
Yeah, and to Jalen's point, 6-1 is a Christmas gift on the 9, but you're never going to see 6-1 on the horse. That's the problem, because everything about the horse makes sense. The class is there. I think he's going to go off the favorite, and probably should, right? When you see the horses he's been facing. For that reason, I'm playing against, although he will be on all my tickets just because I do think he's the most talented of the bunch. But picking the favorite of a 14-horse sprint at Parx is just not something I have a lot of interest in doing. So I was all over the place trying to decide on who I would go with. And I ultimately landed on the horse just to the outside of the 9, number 10, Lightning Larry, at 8-1. Yeah, that's right. Hey, listen, sometimes you get these. Listen, now with Delgado, after a couple starts, this horse, second with the first start there, wins the Chick Lang with a nice performance and nice buyer that day. Beat Cogburn as well in chasing time. And then had a little bit of a layoff, came back to the Jersey Shore, didn't run great. I think that's going to benefit the price here. It does benefit the price here because it was off the layoff. Second off now, shows a lot of speed. I think this horse, who likes going this distance, 3 wins and 5 starts in 1 second. Nice workout last time out. Chantel and Delgado team up and do quite well together. Delgado's done well as of late as well. So I think at a price, this horse is going to sit the trip and is going to pop a lot better than he did last time out in that Jersey Shore. So I'm going to take a little bit of a price here. I also like Provocateur. I thought that horse made a lot of sense. I wasn't sure on the price there as well. Makes a lot of sense. I'll be using that one. But I'm going up with a little long shot, Halterman. Number 10, Lightning Larry.
I went 5 deep and didn't use him. I did talk about him on Magic Mike just a little while ago. He was kind of the 6th or 7th horse in. The problem is that the Chick Lane Stakes, if he runs that, I think he's going to win. I just haven't seen him run that other than that one time. We'll see, though. I think he's interesting. I think he's the one that might get the lead or sit right there in second. So see how well the speed holds up there at Parx.
Yeah, the thing with him is that I at least that I know that he likes distance, and I know that he'll be forwardly placed enough to where when the real running starts, he'll be there, right? And then it's a matter of if he's good enough. But I shouldn't have to worry about him coming from the clouds or this and this, that happening. Like, he should be able to sit a trip, and then you just find out if he's good enough. And anytime you have an 8-1, 10-1, probably even higher than that price, that's really all you want, right? Is when they turn for home, they're in it with a shot, and can they get brave and go win the thing? So that's why I'm rolling with the 10. All right, let's go to the next one here. The Cotillion, race 11, the Cotillion Stakes, Grade 1 worth $1 million. Phillies 3-year-olds going a mile 16th. Another large field, not quite 14, but a field of 9. And you got the Kentucky Oaks winner in here, Secret Oath at 2-1. 7-2 on Adair Manor, Bob Baffert. At one time, I think you and I both thought this was the Oaks winner. Gerrymander cutting back now after trying going long. Last time out didn't work. 6-1 on Green Up, who's interesting. Goddess of Fire. Pletcher's got a bunch in here. Let's start with Secret Oath, Halterman. The Oaks winner has been getting pounded by Nest lately. She's got to be tired, but the class of the horse is just way above everyone else. So how do you handle Secret Oath?
I'm going to take a shot against on the win end. I like Secret Oath, a ton of respect for her. I'm with you. She's got to be getting a little tired. She kind of got her brains beat out a couple times by Ness, and that no disrespect there. I mean, anybody would have. Ness is such a good horse, but I kind of think the up and comer is the number one Green Up on the rail. I really like that horse a lot. Horse has won 4 in a row, won the local prep race for this by over 3 lengths, and beat Interstate Daydream. That horse won the Black Eyed Susan. You know, that Interstate Daydream's a really nice horse for Brad Cox. Green Up destroyed that horse. Irad came down to ride that day, which was the local prep for this one. He's back aboard here, obviously. I think she sits a nice stocking trip. I think she gets first run. I'm going to take Green Up here. Going to go up in class a little bit, but I am going to take a small shot against Secret Oath here.
You know, the way the race is set up and the way that it seems like it should run, Secret Oath should have a huge chance to win. But I just don't. She's got to be tired, right? You know, her and Ethereal Road need to like have a talk and like just stop running because they need a break. It's poor Ethereal Road, man. That horse, the worst thing he could ever done is run well that day in Arkansas because now he's running everywhere. Anyways, Secret Oath, you get to the point where you kind of wonder, well, yes, she's been in good races and getting second to Ness, but wasn't close in either one of them, and just. You know, it hasn't been a lot to talk about with her in terms of visually impressive performances since that Oaks, you know, and granted, she's been in some 3 grade 1s, one of them being the Preakness. I get it, but not close to winning any of them. So I'm going to try to beat her as well here. I'm going to also try to beat Adair Manor. I just, you know, to me with her, it's a lot of wait and see what she is. You kind of look back and maybe she wasn't quite as good as we thought she was, obviously, but, you know, even at the time, I'm going to go with, I almost went Gerrymander, but I didn't think we could 8-1. I'm also wondering what the cutback looks like for her, but here's another one. I'm going to wait to see you roll your eyes. How about number 7, Shahama? That's where I'm rolling here. Todd Pletcher. Pratt gets back aboard. Rode her the first 2 starts, one time in the Kentucky Oaks, which we all thought that was so weird that she was there. You know, they came back, ran a nice second to Gerrymander in the Mother Goose, and then last time out really kind of finally clicked. Going to mile 16th and won the Monmouth Oaks. Looked really good, I thought, that day. Now Pratt gets back aboard. Maybe she's just a horse that like just needed a little kind of to figure things out. Obviously been running overseas prior. Maybe she just needed a little time. And another thing, I can mention the pace between, you know, your horse Green Up and between Adair Manor and between a few Gerrymander, a few of these horses. There's some speed in this race. Society's got a ton of speed in this race. I think it's going to set up for the horse to kind of come late, and I like number 7, Shahama, to win.
No, I think that's a good pick. I was debating between the 5 and the 7, you know, but I think the 5 because, you know, she did beat her pretty cleanly at a mile 16th, but that was a 1-turn mile 16th at Belmont.
Yes.
Does the 2 turns favor Shahama? That's the question mark, right? So
that's what I kept going back to too. And you might be right. Like maybe it doesn't matter, but I kept going. It's like I wanted to pick Gerrymander, but I was like, you know, that mile 16th was a 1-turn at Belmont.
Yep.
And there's been nothing since, you know, well, nothing before that, obviously. In the Alabama, she, you know, you'd like to have seen her, you know, finish 3rd, you know, to Secret, you know, or be battling with Secret Oath later. She just wasn't close, you know. And I get it going a mile and a quarter, but the 2 turns, that's to me enough. Do you think? Who's going to be the bigger price? Shahama, probably, over Gerrymander?
Boy, that's tough because you got Pletcher and Pratt. I think it'll take a little bit of money, but Gerrymander's, you know, Brown and Rosario, I think they'll be pretty similar. The way I kind of see it is I think Secret Oath will be favored. I think Green Up will be second choice and Adair Manor will be third. I think Gerrymander and Shahama will be right there together for that 4th choice.
I will say this, too. If you get – I'm assuming Green Up gets pounded. If you get anywhere in the 6-1 ballpark, I will be pounding that as well because I do think the horse is super talented. Halter and I will be using, I know, the 1 in all our tickets as well. But I'm going to take a little bit of a price. for my on top play. One of the other Pletchers, the other Pletcher, number 7, Shahama.
Yeah, and Goddess could win that thing too. Goddess of Fire.
Yeah.
Just didn't like her as well as the other Pletchers.
Yeah, which one? You could just play all Pletchers, and you'd have a good chance with it. I don't know. Jalen mentioned the 9 Society, and obviously that's a horse that, that's the kind of horse that you could see running off the screen here, or also could see just getting really tired late, because this horse was running some really, even though it was winning, was running some really kind of low numbers, and then just completely shot up in that Charlestown Oaks last time out. So it's like, what is the horse? Plus that was 7 furlongs. I don't know.
Yeah, I had a question mark by that one. I'm not quite sure what to make of that one. Didn't run very well when stepping up and going 1 mile and an eighth. So we'll see.
All right, let's go to Churchill Downs on Saturday. Race 8, the Harrods Creek Stakes. It's $275K for 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs. Field of 7 lines up here, Halterman. And you look at 2 horses that, Conager, who's obviously ultra fast at 6-5, and then Goodnight, the even money favorite, who's just maybe got more heart than any horse running right now. Who you going again? Who you going with? Because obviously Conager, you got to think is going to go out there and try to blaze this thing. But we know Goodnight, he will not give it up easy. He didn't even give it up easy last time out to, let's just say, a far better Jack Christopher. So who you going with here?
Dude, I think this is going to be an awesome race. I went with Conager on top. I kind of think he's going to get out to the lead this time and going to get the pace that we need. And I think he's going to take this field gate to wire. I will play them both and move on, though. Goodnight, definitely a horse I've got a ton of respect for. And I've won a lot of money with Goodnight. So not easy for me to go against. But from a pace standpoint, I think Conager is going to be awful tough in this spot. Now, the big caveat is he did not break well in the Jerkins, and that was it. So if he doesn't break well, that could be trouble. But if he gets out and gets comfortable, I think he's going to be tough to run down.
He's he's won at Churchill. He's ran 3 times at Churchill. He's got a first, second, and third, 2 wins at the distance. There's no doubt about it. He'll be trying to go out there and do the thing on the lead. I went 7, so I went Goodnight. This horse really, that day in the Amsterdam, I was like, even though I picked, I was like, damn, dude, that guy, he's just gutty. He does not quit. And, we obviously picked Jack Christopher to win. We had a win bet on the Jerkins. And even after the race, you and I looked at each other like, man, that Goodnight just doesn't stop. Even though we never really was in fear, he was right there. He was making Jack Christopher work for that win. And Goodnight, I don't think is anywhere near talented enough as Jack Christopher. He's just a gutty, trying horse. And that's why even if Conager goes out there, Goodnight does have early speed to where he can kind of press him. And I just don't see him quitting. That's the thing. So I just don't know how I don't see him giving up. And that's a key for me. That's why I'm on Goodnight.
If you look at the race 4 back when they match up against each other, that's hard to get out of my head. Now, it was Goodnight's first race off a layoff, and he definitely has run better since. But I just don't see who's going to pressure Conager. And maybe it's Goodnight. Maybe he says, I'm going to go get you this time and get after you early. And if that happens, all bets are off. But I'm worried about the trip for Goodnight in this spot.
I like the fact that T-Gaff is here to ride, which he's ridden the last 3 times. And I like the fact that he draws outside of Conager so that he can kind of let him do his thing. And T-Gaff can kind of decide, okay, here's how close we need to go. He needs how to stay. And he obviously has familiarity with the horse. So you don't foresee something crazy happening in terms of him rushing up there. And he also looked like, that day Conager freaked, ran a 104 buyer. Goodnight's ran a 101 or 102 the last 2 times. Conager's not matched anywhere close to that since then. And I don't know what the time form numbers look like for that. But he just, since that he kind of popped. Obviously, he ran a good Iowa Derby, but he just hasn't gotten close to that day that he did beat Goodnight. So he's going to need to do that again, I feel like. And maybe he will because it's back at Churchill Downs. But we'll see. That's going to be a hell of a race, though. That's one of those that they might be going back and forth the whole stretch kind of race. So that'll be a fun one to watch.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the next one here. Race 9, the Dogwood Stakes, Grade 3, $275K for fillies, 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs, field of 7. Shows up here, and look, Asmussen's rounding out the field here on the inside and the outside. Echo Zulu makes her return to the track and return sprinting, going 7 furlongs, but she's got to face her stablemate, who T-Gap's on as well. Wicked Halo, the 7-horse, coming in with 3 wins in a row under her belt. So really, which Asmussen are you going with here?
I thought this was another super interesting race. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I don't know how Echo Zulu is this year, right?
I know.
Won the Fairground Oaks, but was kind of begging somebody to beat her, and those horses behind her have been proven they are horrible.
Very bad.
And then went to the Kentucky Oaks, ran fairly well. Then that weird thing happened on Belmont Day. I'm not going to be shocked at all if she wins. I'm going the other Asmussen, though. I'm going to go Wicked Halo here. I like the price difference. I'll take my chances. Hopefully Echo Zulu gets bet. If she wins, she wins. That's great. I don't have any problem with it. But for as far as a win bet, I'll take Wicked Halo. This horse has been really, really, really good. I think 7 furlongs is the perfect distance for her. I'll take a little shot with the 7-2.
Yeah. Well, for one, she's only run 3 times this year, Jalen, and we haven't seen her at 7 furlongs since over a year, September 5th of last year in the Spinaway. That's how long we've seen her. Obviously stretching out, and she hasn't been great. She definitely was not great in the Oaks, and that whole weird thing. Like, here's the thing: Wicked Halo is coming in off 3 straight wins, one last time out in September, mind you, this September, and one. Very impressively, I thought, kind of came from out of it or off of it. And one hasn't been seen since the Oaks. And that, to me, is going to maybe the biggest edge. Now, the class edge could be all Echo Zulu. And She just is better than all, she's at 7 furlongs and kind of getting back to what maybe that's what she wants to do. She's obviously maybe a classier horse. Maybe she does it. But, and I don't, like you said as well, like I would not be shocked whatsoever. But I do think the 7 will be making a run at her. And she's a little bit more of the it horse, so to speak, out of that barn right now. So I'm going to take a shot as well, and I like the price differential. You said everything. So I just think – I actually, Asmussen Exacta, a few people have mentioned, I almost put the 4 on top. So I think this horse is a little interesting here. So I don't know if I would use that Exacta.
Is the 4 good enough now to pressure Echo Zulu, who's not quite as good maybe as she used to be, and maybe grind her into the ground a bit? Maybe.
Yeah. She showed some some nice speed, I thought, last time out early in that race. She's kind of come on. That the last couple efforts, she's got a little bit better with each one. I get it that she got beaten the juvenile fillies, Echo Zulu, Juju's Map. Tribute finished 3rd. But since then, she got 2nd in an allowance race at Churchill, then came and won at Saratoga, in a restricted stakes race. She's getting a little bit better. She's a little dangerous, I think, enough to kind of make me give pause for an Asmussen Exacta. All right, let's go to the final one at Churchill Downs, race 10, the Bourbon Trail Stakes, $275K for 3-year-olds, going 1 3/16 miles, field of 9. Lines up here, Halterman. Number 2, Homebrew. Do you trust Homebrew enough to play here at 5-2? Gilded Age. This is like we talked about earlier, the 3-year-olds of the Pennsylvania Derby. Well, this is like the Boulevard of Broken Dreams 3-year-olds right now. These are the ones that you've been seeing all over the place. 3-year-old Road, I mentioned him. He's here. Gilded Age, Creative Minister, the poor guy, he's in here. Homebrew, what's he going to do? But there is one horse, Halterman, and I'm going to give you the floor because I know you're going to pick this horse. He shows up here, the new shooter. Who you got?
I'm not picking St. Tappet to win this race, actually.
You're not?
No, I'm not.
Oh, I am. Okay, well.
He's got to move up. He's got to get faster. And I don't know that he gets faster going 1 3/16 as his first race around 2 turns. That's the problem. And he shows up at Churchill. He doesn't send his good horses to Churchill. Talking about Pletcher. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical of him. I am going to use him. I'm back at Homebrew because I think he's got the experience. He's got the experience around the 2 turns. I think he just hated the slop last time out. He's got a little bit faster on the speed figure standpoint than St. Tappet. I think St. Tappet's got to improve. I'm going to go Homebrew on top.
Man, I really teed it up for you. I really thought you were going with him. I mean, I know how much you love St. Tappet, so I was teeing it up. So I'll do it. He does have to improve, but he's ran twice. Of course he's going to improve. He will improve here. The fact that Pletcher has gone from 6.5 furlongs to 7 furlongs, and now he's running him in this race, 1 mile and 3/16 at Churchill Downs, tells me an awful lot of what he thinks of St. Tappet. The fact that he's running him in this kind of race, going this long, he's like he wants to go forever, and he shows up here. The problem is, and now if there was someone else in here, I don't trust Homebrew. I think Homebrew's good, and I'll be using him, no doubt about it. But he burned me really bad last time in the West Virginia Derby. He was awful that day, and I just don't think there's a good enough horse in here. Like if St. Tappet is what I think he is, I don't know. And yeah, you're right. He has to improve, but I don't see any reason why he won't improve. Pletcher's not going to run him here for fun. So I think he will.
You look back at those races and who he beat, it's starting to get a little shaky. Golden Alchemist came back and won a maiden and everybody went crazy. And then ran next time in a stakes and got beat by Best Actor, Kiss a Lot, and wait for it, Creative Minister. That was a sign of concern. That horse was bad in the Smarty Jones. That has me a little concerned. I think he's got to get a little bit better. I like him. I don't know. And I think this 9-2 is a dream. I think he's going to get bet hard. I thought this was a difficult spot for him to try 2 turns for the first time.
Well, to Nick's point, and I don't necessarily disagree with him either. Like you could look at it both ways. It's an interesting spot. I didn't expect to see him here. But I also don't know where we would have saw him. I guess the only other you could have saw him like at Keeneland, in like that, like some sort of 3-year-old race, or I don't know. I mean, obviously you got to think the Breeders' Cup is in mind, but what race? And yeah, like you said, going this long doesn't make you think that the mile is where they're pointing the horse now. So it is interesting, and we'll find out, I guess. I just thought he was that day. You talk about a horse hating the slop. Whew. He hated the slop. That's
totally fair. And look, I'm not saying, oh, go against him, I'll be shocked. I'm just saying, I don't know. It's a weird spot. I know where you're going to send him, but for a guy that runs his best horses up in New York, and then Keeneland's right around the corner, I don't know, man. I was just like, that's strange. So I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe he shows up and runs big. He has talent. There's no question, but I'm a little skeptical of the spot.
They might just be running him at in Kentucky because they know they're going to be there for the Classic in a month.
I don't think that's it.
Just saying. Just saying. I'm going to be – listen, I can go to sleep at night knowing that I'm picking against Homebrew, though. I know that much. So, and I know I can go sleep at night picking against Ethereal Road and Gilded Age. Like, that's the thing. Like, I just don't know that he has to beat a lot in here, Yeah. And going long, obviously, he's bred to go, 4 miles. So
he has to beat experience, right? He doesn't necessarily have to beat like really good horses, but a lot of experienced horses going longer than he's gone. That's the key. So,
yeah. And you also have the factor of he's a Tappet. Will he be a little? Well, will he? He will be a little funky. And will that have will that deter him enough where we're sitting here talking on Sunday saying, wow, he ran huge, but the inexperience got to him, or whatever the case may be. And Homebrew, like kind of the reason you're picking against him for that matter, is the experience edge. So I like St. Tappet. You like Homebrew. But definitely it seems like this is a horse that people either love or hate right now. It seems like St. Tappet. Is Homebrew a horse that I guess I'll ask you could see winning this race and go into the Classic? I mean, no. I'll ask it, I guess.
No.
Dirt Mile?
No.
Where else? I don't know.
I like the
undercard.
Where at?
The undercard?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, he's just been. Brad Cox has got plenty. He doesn't need homebrew in the race. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go to your race here. Let's go to Sunday, Remington Park, race 11, the Oklahoma Derby, grade 3, 400K. Talking about 3-year-olds. 3-year-olds going a mile and 1/8, field of 8 lines up here. And talked about Brad Cox, right? He's got another one, 3-year-old, number 4, best actor. The odds aren't out here, but they are out. I saw our boy, of course, Dale Dave, tweeted it out or sent it out in the email. 9-5 on best actor, 5-2 on Rattle and Roll. King Ottoman's 5-1, Steel Sunshine 6-1. Those are your top choices there. So, are you willing to play 9-5 on best actor?
Yeah, I mean, I thought best actor would be in the Pennsylvania Derby after what he did in the Smarty Jones. It was fantastic, and we were on him that day at 5-2. I look at this race; it's pretty similar to what he beat. Creative Minister, was a horse that was kind of pointing for this race a little bit. Didn't end up coming here, but yeah, I think best actor is going to be pretty tough here. I mean, 9-5. Hopefully, we get that. I think he's going to be tough in this spot. I do like the number 1 Steel Sunshine. It's kind of the longer price horse. Won the Ellis Park Derby, another race that I think is pretty similar to this one. And, it's won 3 in a row. So, yeah, on top, I'm going to go best actor. I think he's going to be pretty darn tough in this spot.
First of all, I wouldn't play Rattle and Roll at 5-2 with your money.
No.
That's saying something. I might with Magic's, but not with yours. I like you too much. But no, I'm with you. I think best actor, the 4-horse. I think this horse has the potential of being a horse that we're drafting, not drafting. We're talking about come like Pegasus and that kind of time. Like, because this is a 3-year-old that's sort of starting to, he's on the lower level. We talk about those horses that run those circuits, right? The underneath circuits a little bit, the Indiana Derby and the Smarty Jones and these little smaller races. And then, the Oklahoma Derby. And then all of a sudden they show up in a big grade 1, and could they do it? And this is a horse who's only ran 4 times and won 3 of them. The loss was in the Indiana Derby. That is really hard to kind of come up with how that happened. Definitely redeemed himself last time out. It's a combination of, I think he's easily the best horse in the race, and I just don't know who is going to beat him. I don't. And yeah, he's a late bloomer, shoddy. Like, he's a kind of horse, like, it's being the connections of Gary and Mary West, Brad Cox, big time purchase price. Like, if he goes and keeps winning, he's going to show up in a race like the Pegasus that continues to get better and better and better. Or maybe the Breeders' Cup, maybe not the Classic, but like a Dirt Mile or something to that effect. He's gonna get the opportunities because Brad Cox hasn't had to press the horse along. He kind of has let the horse, press in.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm with you on the fact that it's just not a lot to beat in here. I'm not really afraid of Rattle and Roll. King Ottoman is a nice horse for Asmussen, but he's kind of proven he's kind of second rate, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I had Steel Sunshine second. I'm not sure what he is just yet. He's looked awfully darn good in a couple of races, leading up to this one. So he may be another one that's a late bloomer. If you looked at Steel Sunshine early in his career, they tried the Florida Derby. They were kind of excited about him. Didn't run very well. They've regrouped, and since then he's won 3 in a row. So it's interesting, but I think best actor is pretty much a standout in this spot.
All right, so Davey wants to know, okay, you like him. We like him on top, best actor. But who do you like? Who else are you using here?
I think I just said
it. Yeah, Davey. Who else? Steel Sunshine is 6-1. So give me a try.
Use Steel Sunshine and King Ottoman and try to get around Rattle and Roll.
King Ottoman 5-1. So you got 5-2. Yeah. How about any thought of
yes.
Yeah. I was literally as soon as I started looking at the race, I was singing it like in my head. I'm like, damn it.
Yes.
Yes. Red Knobs. How about Red Knobs? You like him at all? Underneath, of course, but a horse that people kind of forget. This is a horse that at 1.2, ran 3rd in the Iroquois, was on that Derby quote unquote Derby trail early in his career, and then of course was with Dale Romans and now is with Diodoro and has actually ran decent since being with Diodoro. No shocker there, right? So you can see this horse running well, right? Underneath.
Wouldn't be shocked if he runs decent. Yeah, I don't think he's great, but I wouldn't be shocked. He went up to what the hell was that? The Canadian Derby and won, or got second to Great Escape.
Yeah.
But he did beat Great Escape 2 races back. So I'm not overly excited, but it's possible that horse hits the board.
The concern is he's been running the tracks that even you don't like to watch, and then
that's a problem. Yeah,
that's a problem. Like, yeah, he's been running well, but he got second at Churchill, and then ran at Asmussen Downs and what is CTM, wherever the Canadian Derby's ran at.
The Century Mile.
There you go. There you go. There you go. 127 Tribe, Bree wants to know. Well, if you're going to throw out the 4, I guess I would definitely use the 4 in your try. Box those 4 up.
127. No. I mean, I think the 4 is going to be tough. Listen, I think the key to the race, if you're playing exotics, sometimes we'll go on there and say, well, if the 2 favorites might pay $3 for an exacta, yeah, but you can get rattle and roll out, right? So go get rattle and roll out, or if you love him, try to get best actor out. So that's the decision. Get one of those out and try to get a little bit of a price underneath your top choice.
If Homebrew was in this race and best actor was in the other one, would you pick Homebrew here?
Ooh, good question. I think best actor's a little better. Yeah, I pick.
They seem like similar horses.
I would pick Homebrew. Yeah.
But I do think best actor is the better of the two, of Homebrew and best actor. Definitely the two. I would go with best actor. So I know there for a while I kept confusing. I called one and the other, because they have like the similar names in the fact that they're just 2 words and they're very bland names, right? And they're
they point for the same races.
I know. Homebrew, best actor. They're both Gary Mary West, and so they're just way too similar.
I agree.
There you go. All right. We're both on the Brad Cox horse here. Number 4, best actor to win the Oklahoma Derby. All right. Yeah. This always goes long. We got to get you going. We got to get you going for the next show. I know. Your dad's wondering.
Got 6 minutes.
Just stay tuned. Hawthorne's probably going to go pee and then he'll be ready to go. Right.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. It's all the time we have. Check us out at racingdudes.com for our premium selections. To our product on our products page, get the click Racing Dudes premium button in the menu at racingdudes.com to learn more. Again, that inside track to the Pennsylvania Derby wagering guide is now available. We talked about a couple races from that card. There's obviously a ton more, 17 pages. Go get your hands on that right now and start studying for the Pennsylvania Derby Day card. And speaking of the Pennsylvania Derby card, we are back, Halterman. We're back. We are back for the Racing Dudes Tournament Challenge is back, and it's back in a big way. We played around with that for a few months. People liked it, but we were bringing it back, and we're opening it up to the public. You don't have to be a premium subscriber to play in these now, and it's a championship series event. So just go to racingdudes.com. You'll see the article there. We're going to tweet it out, post it, everything there. See an email. If you aren't a subscriber to the emails, make sure you subscribe. So you'll get that. But basically the way this thing is going to work, we're going to play at least one. We're going to have one tournament at least a month. That's going to kick off this weekend. The whole entire Pennsylvania Derby card. So all the Parx races. So we know you're studying for the card itself anyway. So you might as well play in this. $20 to enter. It's going to operate as a cash game. If we can get it by, depending on how many we get, you might get $300, $400, $500 for the winner there. And if you qualify, the top or one of every 5 entries is going to get you a qualifier for the championship, which we're going to host on December 26th on Malibu Day. And that gets you in there where you're going to compete for $500 cash from the Racing Dudes. And if you are a Racing Dudes premium subscriber, we're going to kick in another $250 just for being a subscriber if you are a subscriber during the qualifier and, of course, during the championship there. So $750K or $750. No, hang on. Not there yet. $750 And hey, if you did well in the qualifier, good chance you can turn $20 into over $1,000 by playing in this thing. So there you go. We're back. Horsetourneys.com is where we're playing it at. Just go to Racing Dudes and find that article, sign up, and compete against us as well. You think you're better than us, Halterman, myself, Magic, Samich, we'll all be in it playing, and you can compete against us for big time cash, right? Are you excited? Man? Come on.
If it was $750K, yes, I would be excited.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, well, I'm throwing in $750 myself. Halterman's got the rest, so
right.
That's how we came up with that. I know, I did say K, but I corrected myself, Davey. Okay, I fixed it. Don't edit that later. But yeah, I'm super excited to have those back, and we wanted to bring it back, and we wanted to do it right. And if this goes well, I'm just saying, I'm not saying we're gonna get to $750K, but we will continue to increase the prices or increase the pools and the payouts if we can get more and more people interested in this and playing along with us. Again, it's open to the public. You don't have to be a premium subscriber to play in them now, but obviously you do get that bonus if you are. All right, we are your destination site for all free horse racing picks to all the major horse racing tracks. We're on Twitter at Racing_Dudes, Instagram, and Facebook. You can listen to all Blinkers Off episodes on all the places you listen to podcasts. We're there. Of course, YouTube as well. You can watch us live or listen to these as well. Just make sure you go to youtube.com/Racing Dudes or search Racing Dudes. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get alerted when we go live next time. And you'll see you're back. You're coming up next, right, with your dad on Dudes Who Bet. And that is Dudes Who Bet Sports. And that's going to be, obviously, you're going to be talking a lot about tonight's game, the Thursday night game, which we'll talk about that just real quick, at least give our picks. What did you guys, what's the line? I think last I looked, I know Browns were favored, but I don't know.
4.5 right now.
So minus 4.5, the Browns are given. As good as they've scheduled games this year so far, this one's a little bit of a downer, to be honest. The Browns and the Steelers. So who are you going with?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Browns minus the 4.5. I just feel like they're bad. This team, this Steelers team is bad, and I just feel like the Browns will be able to kind of stop the run a bit. I don't know the Steelers will be able to stop the run quite as well. I think that's the key. I'm going Browns minus the 4.5.
Yeah, it's when I looked earlier, it was, I think it was like 38.5. It was the low of the week.
38 now. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it? So, I mean, to me, it's going to be one of those, you want to keep it out of Brissett's hand as much as you can. So you're just pounding the ball. Yep. And yeah, the Steelers defense without Watt especially are not great. So I think it's a low scoring game. I do think Cleveland will win. I don't know though. It could definitely be like a 14-17 or 17-20 kind of win, and you're like you get nailed on that the 4. So I think I might play the Steelers just to keep it, the +4. But yeah, I definitely, my play would be the under. I think I hate playing the under in any game, but this one just seems it's got underwritten over 2 quarterbacks who aren't very good, and two teams that have good running backs that you think are going to want to just run the ball as much as they can.
That's basically what it's got to be. I mean,
yeah, Najee Harris needs to get going at some point. And obviously, Cup. I was thinking about your fantasy team. By the way, we play this week, so I'm screwed there. But no, and then obviously the 2-headed monster in Cleveland be tough to stop because they're just not the same without Watt. So
yeah,
the defense isn't. So, all right, I'll let you get out of here. Talk all about that, right? With your dad, Papa Dude, and of course, listen to the Magic Mike show with Samich and Halterman. They had tell them what you guys did on the show, what to look forward to if they want to watch that.
We did the late pick 5 sequence at Parx, so a lot of what we just talked about, we definitely went over on the Magic Mike as well. So it's a great sequence. It's one of the better sequences we've had in a while. I feel like a lot of options, a lot of big fields. So and we also had Chris Griffin on, track announcer at Parx. So make sure to check him out. Very, very, very friendly guy.
There you go. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck in the Pennsylvania Derby.